There are many different reasons why you might want to alter the composition of your artwork. After analysing some of your artwork using the composition tools we've explored, you might feel those images could have been improved. Alternatively, you might want to alter a composition because you just want to try something different. Taking a risk with your artwork and attempting something new can lead to something visually exciting and will create a process that is open to experimentation. To make drastic alterations to a composition, you must first identify what needs to be altered. You must understand the composition before you make changes. Thankfully, we've looked at the diamond guide and the rule of thirds, and these are two tools that can be used to analyse a composition. These will help us to locate any problems. You immediately notice that the person in this image stands off-centre. Is the composition still balanced? When I created this image, I wanted to see how far I could push away from the central line of the diamond guide before the composition became too unbalanced. The central line is always dominant, and the viewer's eyes will always focus in that direction first. When looking at this piece, it's difficult to focus on anything other than the rose. When I place the diamond guide above, you can see that the rose is in the most prominent position of the canvas. The detailed hand is given as much prominence as the face, because they are both placed on the other vertical lines. In an attempt to balance the image more, I've circled colour around the rose, and this further encourages the viewer's eyes to explore this part of the canvas. However, there isn't enough happening on that central line. The composition would be improved if I had placed more elements along that line. In portrait format images, that central line is always dominant. However, I still like this image, and I decided to balance the composition in a different way. I turned the image into a diptych. A diptych is an art term for a series of two images that should be displayed together. I created a second image to be shown on the right of the first. The second image balances the first. There were too many elements on the far left of the canvas, and now the elements are more evenly balanced across the two images. The space that was on the right is now in the centre, and it no longer feels unbalanced. I could have gone further and created a triptych. A triptych is an art term for a series of three images that should be displayed together. I flipped one of the images just to show you how that might have looked. Both bodies face inward, and this brings the focus to the centre of the three images. Because these images are to be viewed together, we can choose to view them as a complete composition. This means that we can analyse them using the rule of thirds grid. Each image is in portrait format, but when they are combined, they become landscape format, and therefore it makes sense to view them using a composition tool appropriate for landscape format images. First, we will look at the triptych. You'll notice that the gaps between the images are exactly where the vertical lines are. This would happen with every triptych, where the images are of equal size, but the images don't have to be the same size. And altering the size of each canvas could make the composition more interesting. Still, the composition is good because it's a series of three. The images are separated into thirds, and in some ways that connects to why images using the rule of thirds are so appealing. There is something aesthetically interesting about thirds. However, I chose the diptych for my final piece. It uses the rule of thirds. The lines intersect on the thumbs of two of those abstract hands. I also like how the colour green is spread across both canvases. On the left canvas it is mainly in the upper left, and on the right canvas it is on the lower right. This is enhanced by the hands being diagonal to each other. I like the relationship between the hand in the upper left and the one in the lower right. The triptych is bold and loud in its composition, but the diptych has a good composition that's balanced in a more subtle way. In the end, I chose the diptych because it was more aligned with what I wanted to say with this image. I'm not saying that one composition was superior to the other. An artist needs to make choices about what composition is appropriate for the story or emotion that they want to convey. The triptych seemed overly dramatic for this piece of artwork, although I might use it for another piece of artwork because it is a great composition. Even though it was late in the process, I still had the opportunity to alter my composition. It's easier to alter an image in the early stages, but we do still have options, and turning an image into a series is one of those options.